yes, it feels good, doesn't it? A signing through the door. It's a beautiful morning here in Glasgow. Well, it's alright. It started off decent. My microphone's broke, I think. Look at it. It's like a flaccid... We'll leave it there. It's just like, it's dropping down. Are you noticing this, or is it just me? It's just no one to sit right. Hopefully you can hear me all well. Hello, good afternoon. It's 12 p.m. So afternoon is just upon us. But this morning at 9 a.m, Celtic announced the signing of Alexandro Bernabei from Lanús in Argentina. We have made our next summer signing, which is a glorious feeling. I'm very happy to have another signing through the door, and we're here to discuss all of that today. We knew it was only a matter of time, and to be honest, I think I was expecting another signing announcement today after yesterday's news, but I'll take any at the moment, and it's I think the first of a quick fire too. Because we're going to talk about Jota a little bit later on in the stream, but I think that that's only a matter of time away as well. But we'll talk about that as the stream goes on. It's good to be with you all on this... What day is it today? It's Thursday, isn't it? It's good to be with you all on this Thursday afternoon. I hope you're all doing well. Nice to see a lot of people piling into the chat. From Minnesota, Dave McDonald. Hail from Minnesota. That's fantastic. I hope Minnesota's treating you well. I would love to visit Minnesota, actually. One of those places in America that I'd love to go over to. It just seems like a beautiful place, you know. Try to think, Minnesota, is that the state or a city now? What's the city? No, Minnesota's the state, isn't it? Doesn't matter. Not going to sit here and talk about it all day, but I'd love to visit over up the top, isn't it? Up near Canada and stuff. Right, anyway, welcome along. We're patiently waiting for other news, but this is absolutely tremendous today that Celtic have announced the signing of Alexandro Bernabei in a 5-year contract. There's the images that were released this morning. There's actually quite a split story here, because the announcement was actually made, I think, at 3 a.m. Technically, Lanús, his parent, well, not his parent club now, but his club that he was with over in Argentina, announced that he was joining Celtic at 3 o'clock this morning, and Celtic had a little bit of fun with that and memed it on Twitter, but we officially announced it as a club at 9 o'clock this morning. I woke up, I think, at 9:10, and I seen this notification on my phone. I was thinking, what the fuck's going on? And bang, there it was. I think that announcement at 3 a.m. this morning kind of threw a spanner in the plans of Celtic. I think that kind of changed the announcement plans. I think we would have probably been waiting still. Maybe we would have got it right about now. But obviously with Lanús kind of going in and announcing it first, then you know, it sort of changed it. From Denver, Colorado, Ben Agnew. Christ, a lot of American viewers right now. How are we all doing over in the States? Denver, another state I'd love to visit as well. £2 donation. We're going to talk about Julian later on in the stream, but let's first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. First of all, let's talk about Alexandro Bernabei, because he has signed for the club. He is the man of the minute. We finally have that left-back signing that we have been crying out for quite a while. You know, this isn't something that's just a recent development. Celtic have been looking for a left-back for the longest time now. For the last couple of years, we've been looking for quality in the left-back area. We signed, of course, the likes of Bolly Bolingoli and Greg Taylor a couple of years ago, back at the start of the 2019-20 campaign. And even through an entire pandemic, we have still been looking for more quality. Those signings, Greg Taylor not so much. Bolly Bolingoli never worked out. We spent a kind of hefty fee on him. Greg Taylor, it's taken a while for him to get and grow into the team. But we've still been looking for depth and quality in that area. And now we've finally improved on that. Now we've finally brought in a player. And of course, we've been talking for weeks now about potential options. We had the likes of Mohamed Jota from Hammarby in Sweden. We've, of course, heard of Alexandro Bernabei. There was a couple of other names that were thrown in and around there. But I'm glad that we have now identified our man. We've went and got our man. And yeah, he's signed for the club. 5-year deal as well. A £3.75 million fee is what is being reported. Sky Sports are reporting that's £3.75 million. So, you know what? Hopefully it all turns out well. We spent a similar amount of money on Bolly Bolingoli and that didn't go well. But I think that this one is going to be good. I think this one's going to work out. A lot of the Argentinian supporters and a lot of the football scouts and journalists over there are saying that this is a very smart piece of business from Celtic. So I'm pleased to hear that. I think he will come through well. And yeah, we're going to go and look at some more in a second. First of all, I'm loving that we're getting it. I'm liking all of this, by the way. People telling me where they're checking in from. Where are you checking in from? We've got Jed here from London. We've got Cosimo from Sydney in Australia. Hello, good day. Nice to see you. Hello from Malvern in England. Christ, everybody checking in from all over South Africa. At some point, I don't know when people are going to be winding me up. I'm waiting for someone to check in and say they're calling from the bottom of the Great Barrier Reef or something like that. But nice to see you all anyway, because it is, of course, a big morning morning. Planet Celtic here. Where's the comment I want to bring up? 5-year deal is superb, especially if he plays well and attracts attention in the Champions League. And of course, yeah, this is we've got someone checking in from Pyongyang. Lovely. People checking in from all over. I absolutely love that. Irvin, not as sort of. Don't want to offend anybody from Irvin. Not as scenic as you could say Sydney and Denver, Colorado and such. I've got Stirling, Latvia. I've actually got a friend from Latvia. Exotic Cambuslang, Kent in England, Falkirk. Yes, that's probably the most impressive one yet. Falkirk, Melbourne, Springburn. Two very different burns. But nice to see everybody checking in anyway. I really like that. Young Poundland Barisic, but maybe, yes, Poundland Barisic, yeah. But anyway, one thing I want to touch on, Planet Celtic's comment there was a very, there's someone from Easterhouse, just along the road. Nice to see. But what I was going to say was, and Planet Celtic made a very good observation there. A 5-year contract, we're playing Champions League football. He's obviously someone who's at a very young age still. This is someone that's going to play a lot of football for Celtic. There's a lot of potential here for Celtic to make money and for things to go very well. I think the main focus is, first of all, get him into our team and see how he plays. Let's not think about him leaving the club, but I think we've signed very smart here. It's the first Argentinian to ever play for Celtic. I think that is absolutely bonkers. The fact that we've never had an Argentinian play for the club. Of course, I love the country of Argentina and their footballers, especially. Diego Maradona is one of my favourite players of all time. Granted, I never watched him, but I mean, he's Maradona, isn't he? Of course, Lionel Messi, one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. Very impressive footballing nation, big population. But we've never had an Argentine play for Celtic. I still think that is absolutely crazy. And you've seen Celtic directing a tweet towards the Argentinian Celtic Supporters Club this morning, and they must be buzzing. The fact that they finally have an Argentine to represent their nation in a Celtic shirt, it's a massive moment for Argentinian Celtic fans. Obviously as Scottish fans, as Scotsmen, we don't have to ever worry about that sort of thing. But it's crazy. But I'm very pleased that we see him coming in from Girvan. Give a shout out to Paul McCafferty if you know who he is. Paul, my cousin and my uncle. Shout out to them if they're somehow watching as well. But yeah, I'm very happy. I think that'll be good. So let's quickly go and jump on. So I'm going to share the screen. We're going to look at the statement that Celtic released this morning. By the way, over 300 viewers at this moment in time, 12 PM. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Make sure to go and hit like and subscribe. Let's get to 35,000 subscribers. Share out the stream. Donate if you can as well. Let's have a look at the Celtic statement this morning. This was what was released at 9 o'clock. Alexandro Bernabei signs for Celtic in a 5-year deal. I still need the clarification, and I've not watched the interviews yet. I've been busy. I've been getting up, organising the stream. I had to get breakfast made. I had to get showered, blah, blah, blah. So I've not had the time to actually sit down and watch So I hope they give a clarification on the pronunciation, because I'm unsure if it's Bernabei or Bernabei still. But anyway, the statement was Argentinian left-back Alexandro Bernabei today signed a 5-year deal with the champions to become the third signing of the summer, subject to international clearance. The 21-year-old, 21 years of age, on a 5-year deal, with this apparent ability that the Argentinian media are speaking of. This could be really big for Celtic. 21-year-old signs after an impressive spell with Lanús in his home one's top division after breaking through their youth academy. Formerly capped at Argentina's under-23 level, the new number 25 penned a 5-year deal to play in Glasgow, and he said he can't wait to experience life as a Celtic player and in the Champions League. So here's some of his comments as he was speaking to Celtic this morning. I'm very happy to be here and I feel grateful for the club for giving me this opportunity. I feel proud to be playing in Europe because it was one of my dreams, and I'm excited to train and play with new teammates. The stadium is just incredible. The people, the club, the teammates and the coaching staff are all incredible. I'm very excited and happy. I can't wait to be playing in the Champions League. I've heard that the people are crazy, so I can't wait to sense that feeling and emotion at Celtic Park. And then of course I talk about how the fact he's the first ever player from Argentina to play for Celtic. He added to that, I spoke to the manager and he said to me he believed in me, he believed in my quality, and that I can adapt to the team quickly. This is my first time in Scotland and in Glasgow, and I've seen the city on the internet. It looks very beautiful. Take a trip out this way, Alexandro. It looks very beautiful, so I'm excited to be able to get to know it more. The objective is to become a champion, and we want to achieve big things as a club, and I would like to achieve all of our objectives this year. Now, all of the objectives. Let's get it all done. Let's go and win the Champions League, wee man. That's the limit. The sky is the limit. But that was him speaking to the club. Seems very happy to be here. And of course, these interviews are always the same, the bog standard. I'm glad to be here. Heard good things about the club. But it is nice to hear him speak so well about the club and the city, the manager, of course. And I think that's one thing that we can all kind of agree on, and saying that the manager has done a really good job. Is it Bernabei? Okay, thank you. Good stuff. Thank you for people in the chat telling me. I think that we've got this great sense of a relationship between every player who's signed for this club and the manager straight away. And that's one thing that Ange Postecoglou has really kind of drilled in, is this close connection between player, staff, and the club, that sort of three-way relationship, if you like. So I'm looking forward to seeing Bernabei bring on the hoops, start for Celtic. I think this is the big conversation now. How do we now move forward with this? Is he our starting left back now? What happens with Greg Taylor? Because of course, Greg Taylor had a fantastic 6 months there as a Celtic player. He was so good, and I think that you could be saying that he ended the season with it being his jersey to lose. I don't think there's for any reason that we should quickly dismiss Greg Taylor and say that he's now the second choice, because he played so well. But let's be honest, we need to sit down, we have to look at the facts. I think that the likes of Bernabei, after spending almost £4 million on him, is going to be the starting left back. I think that also, for as good as Greg Taylor has been with the last 6 months and his development as a player, Bernabei is the Ange player. Bernabei is the guy who's coming in to fit the system. I think Greg Taylor is still under that he's still to adapt fully. He has been adapting. But yeah, and I think I agree with this comment. Quinny has put a comment in the chat. I wouldn't be stunned if Taylor starts the first game of the season. And in fact, I probably agree. I think that Greg Taylor will start, and I think that we'll eventually see the bedding in of Bernabei, especially when people probably start getting on the back of Greg Taylor, because I think that's going to be all so easier now. And I think that's one thing we have to be careful about as a support. I think now that we know we have this brand new shiny left back coming in, I think people will be very quick to jump on Greg Taylor's back when the time comes. If one game doesn't go right, I think people will be quickly in there to suggest that, okay, we've got Bernabei, let's get Taylor to the side, we should be playing him. And I feel like we need to be careful with that, because it could obviously be very detrimental to the career of Greg Taylor. So, we've got to look out for the best interests of both players. But I think ultimately, you don't spend £4 million, I'm just going to round it to the 4. You don't spend £4 million on a left back at a Celtic Football Club for them to come in and be a second choice. That's the reality. This guy is coming in to be the real deal. And here's the big question. Is this finally the Kieran Tierney replacement? Well, listen, I'm not going to pile on the pressure, and I'm not going to suddenly raise the expectation to the level that he should be Kieran Tierney's replacement, but we haven't replaced him. That's the reality. We have not replaced Kieran Tierney. Since he left in 2019, we have not replaced him. We've tried to, but we haven't. We've went from Bolingoli to Greg Taylor, we had Johnny Hayes, and we've still not replaced him. We even had Callum McGregor at left back one night, if you remember. So we haven't done that. And I don't want to put the expectation or the sort of feeling of this as the replacement here. Only time will tell. But I think this is the player that Ange is wanting to bring in, have a kind of carbon copy of Juranovic on that right-hand side, and ultimately complete what is now a perfect back line for Celtic. Of course, we've got to carry over the form into next season. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think on paper, you're now looking at a team for next season that is probably what Ange is very happy with. And Planet Celtic, again, very good comments from Planet Celtic today. We're in a position where we do have 4 good fullbacks. We have Ralston and Juranovic on the right-hand side, and we've got on the left-hand side Taylor and now Bernabei. So, very happy with that. Boys down under, Taylor has to start the first game against Aberdeen. Bernabei still has to serve a 1-game suspension, unfortunately. So, this was interesting. I've seen a couple of people asking, what is the situation? I think we still need clarification on that. I do agree with Boys Down Under here. I think there probably will be something that will have to serve it, but I'm hoping that we get official word on that. I hope that the club comments or the SPFL comments on that and gives us the official positioning on whether or not he will be suspended for that first game. Of course, the lines are sort of blurred because he was sent off in an Argentinian game, not a Scottish game. Will it carry over? I'm assuming it will, but I think that we need to just wait and see what the official confirmation will be. So in terms of Bernabei, can't wait for him to start headbutting Rangers players. Well, let's see how it goes in the derby. I think that's one thing. Like, I'm glad that we've got someone with a bit of personality and a bit of aggression in them, it seems. However, that's something that will have to be flared, and I'm pretty sure that Ange Postecoglou is going to be the kind of manager to tame those urges. As much as I'd love to see him going about headbutting Scott Arfield and anybody else at Rangers, I think that, of course, at Celtic as well, there is a certain responsibility, and in those games you need to keep your, these are title deciding games. We can't afford to be seeing people sent off for headbutts, but we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll see we won't see him sent off on too many occasions. We're going to come on to Jota very, very soon, so don't worry, we will come to that. I think we should try and play Ralston on the left and Juranovic on the right. Nah, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. We've got a left back now anyway, so I don't think this is the thing. Now we're now in a position where we should be playing players in their position. Juranovic went over to the left hand side a little bit last season. We don't need to do that now. Hopefully Bernabei is just going to come in, he's going to fit the system straight away, he's going to adapt very quickly, and we'll no need to worry past that. Beyond that, hopefully, it will be fine. But there you go. That is the big news of today. We're going to keep going with the stream, don't worry, we're not done yet. But that's the big news. This morning, Celtic announcing a 5-year contract and the signing of Alexandro Bernabei from Lanús in Argentina. So, yeah, let's move on to... We're going to come back. We're going to have a Q&A at the end. So stay along. We've got a couple of more stories to talk about on this Transfer Talk live special. So don't go anywhere. Sit down. Have a drink. I've got my bottle of water. But we're going to talk about another couple of things, and then we'll go into a kind of Q&A session to end off the stream. Let's bring up story number 2 for today then. Breaking news: Jota is in Glasgow as his Celtic deal edges closer. Apparently the record and such understand that he is in Glasgow. He's ready to complete his move to Celtic. Of course, yesterday we heard the news that it would be announced today, but with the announcement of Alexandro Bernabei, will that be delayed? Is there still T's to be crossed, I's to be dotted? I'm feeling like we are now going to be waiting another day or two for the official announcement of Jota. But what I will say is this, and I'm confident, touch wood, all that nonsense, that's it done. I think Jota will be a Celtic player in the coming days. Of course, this has been a fucking story in itself. This has been weeks of update after update, week after week. He's here, he's coming, he's there. Announcements this week. We've been waiting and waiting, but we are getting to the point now where we've got a couple of days left till, well, I think this is the last day of his contract as a loan player. So you'd imagine that either today, tomorrow, we will hear that announcement. There have been sort of rumours circulating the internet that Bernabei was going to be today. I seen someone predict it last night. Someone last night put on Twitter, or there was a suggestion on Twitter that Bernabei would be announced today with the number 25, and Jota would be announced the following day in the new kit, maybe. So I think that's it. I'm confident the deal is done. I'm confident the deal's over the line. I think it is now the ball's in Celtic's court, basically. They get to decide when they want to drop the news. I fully believe that he is in Glasgow at this point. No spottings yet, no photos on social media. I'm sure he'll be keeping his hood up, he'll be keeping his head down, and he'll be trying his best not to be spotted. But I think that we're pretty much certain on him signing over the next 24 hours or so. Hopefully tomorrow I'll wake up at 9 o'clock again, and there you go, that'll be the news there. But yeah, it's Beaton away. Beaton to Maccabi has been confirmed. Wow, I'll have a look at that later on. But yeah, Jota's apparently in Glasgow. There's not much to add to that, because what else is there to say about Jota at this point? You know what I mean? I've said everything for weeks about Jota. You know, how much we need him, what he adds to this team, the impact of him signing, blah, blah, blah. There's not much else I can add to what I've said over the past few weeks. The only thing that I can add on today is the fact that he is apparently in Glasgow and he will be signing. So that's that story. And for the final story before we head into a Q&A session, big news that came out today. Shout out to my man Derek Ray, friend of the channel, of course. Derek's been on a couple of times with TSF and on this channel as well. But Derek Ray, he tweeted today, and the news is confirmed that Christopher Jullien will not be going to Schalke. Of course, yesterday we made that video on the channel. If you've not watched it, then there's probably no point now, to be quite honest. But we made the video yesterday, which was very focused on Jullien heading to Schalke. But Derek Ray breaking the news this morning that Christopher Jullien has flown back to Glasgow. The proposed deal between Schalke and Celtic appears to have fallen through. As mentioned yesterday, extensive athletic and medical checks, and there were still outstanding conversations to be had. And then he followed up on that, as you can see in the bottom half of the screen there. It was these final conversations that proved the death knell for the deal. The clubs had agreed, but Schalke and the player ultimately couldn't come together on terms. So it feels like that there has not been an agreement in personal terms there for Christopher Jullien and Schalke. Of course, Schalke are in a very tricky financial situation at the moment. So the only thing that I can imagine... Sorry, pardon me. The only thing that I can imagine is that Jullien hasn't been able to agree a wage with the club. I think that he's probably not been offered enough money. He's probably earning more at Celtic. And yeah, the deal to Schalke is indeed off. He will be heading back to Glasgow. He will remain a Celtic player for the time being. By the way, Quinny, brilliant experience, lovely guy. Genuinely one of the best human beings I've ever spoke to, Derek Ray. Massive shout out to him. Dermot, thank you very much for the donation of, I believe that's Australian dollars, $2.99. Hail, hail, loving the chat. Only 31 days to go. We're almost there. We're almost there, Dermot. We're almost there. But thank you for the donation. I really do appreciate that. But he will return to Celtic at this moment in time. He will be a Celtic player still for the remainder of, you could say, this transfer window. But I think something else will happen. I don't think he'll be a Celtic player come the end of this window. I think it would take something significant for Jullien to want to stay. Now, obviously, the problem now is Jullien needs to go out and source another move. You know, it's not like he's going to get a move out of thin air. There was apparently another couple of clubs interested. I don't know if they will reignite that interest. But you know, I don't think he's going to have a place at Celtic. I think the vision now is very clear for Jullien. He's not going to play. Celtic wanted rid of him. He was ready to go and the deal collapsed. He's not suddenly going to arrive back from Schalke now and Ange isn't going to change his mind and go, you know what, there is a place for you here in this team. That's not going to happen. I think that Jullien will still leave the club this transfer window. It just obviously won't be to Schalke. So I think it's just about, once again, waiting for his next Instagram post to see what flight he's on next and see where he's heading. But yeah, I think that, yeah, and there you go, Celtic. Fabrizio Romano, he did tweet on it, but I didn't actually see it. Romano said that Celtic are looking at other clubs to move Jullien on to, as I expected. You know, I really don't expect Jullien to be here. And I've not expected him to be here since January time. I did think that this summer would be the end of his Celtic career. So obviously Celtic are going to be looking out now for a move potentially for Christopher Jullien. It's a shame the Schalke ones broke down for him because I think that was a really good move for him. I think that Schalke was a sort of perfect destination. They've just been promoted back to the Bundesliga. They're going up there with the expectation to stay up, so there's a lot to play for. And ultimately, Schalke is a huge club, of course, coming from Gelsenkirchen in Germany. They are the closest rivals to the likes of Borussia Dortmund. They're a huge club. And somehow they ended up in this Zweite last season. Don't know how that happened. Well, I do know how that happened. They were pretty awful and they've landed themselves in a spot of bother. But, you know, this is a big season for Schalke and it's a really huge club. It could have been huge for Jullien to go and play there. But obviously it's not worked. I don't think maybe he's demanding too much money. But yeah, and I think, yeah, to be honest, right, and I'm going to be, the Tiao, I'm not sure how you even pronounce his name, but with that deal, I don't think there was much of a chance of it happening anyway. Very highly rated. I think there's a high price tag on him. I know Schalke are in that kind of way where they need money, but I just never seen that deal happening in the first place. I think it was more of a pipe dream, but I certainly agree with the fact that if Jullien's not going there, I think it significantly lessens the chances of that happening for Celtic. But yeah, I don't know, by the way, listen, fucking Ollie Buck going to Werder Bremen, very crazy. And that's what, yeah, I expect that as well, Leon. I think there was talks of the Lorient in France looking at Jullien, so maybe he'll go somewhere like that. Xander saying, I think that CJ should be given a chance, Christopher Jullien. He's not done anything wrong and it's sad not to see him being utilised. He's not done anything wrong and it's totally down to bad luck, you know. And I think I missed a donation, by the way, so sorry. I pull it up. Blake donated £5 and I've missed it. Where is it? Blake, thank you. There, it's just in. We're starting to develop a great squad. The summer is going to be interesting on the next signings. Scary to think we're just going to get better. Thank you very much, Blake. Very much appreciated for the £5, and you're spot on. We are, and I want to talk about that in a moment before we go into the Q&A session, and you guys can get your questions in. But very quickly, Julian's not done anything wrong. It's been really down to bad luck. Injuries, not his fault. He can't help it. But we're at the point now where we have progressed past him. We've signed other centre-halves. I don't think he's Ange Postecoglou's type of player. And I think for the best interests of both the club and him, it's best that he moves on. And obviously the Schalke deal's collapsed, but I think it is just best that he moves on, ultimately. I don't see him he came back against Raith Rovers, and I understand it was his first game back from injury. He just looked miles off it. I don't think he's going to offer us the kind of abilities that we need right now. And I think we can just... He had that fantastic season, and I'd love him to return to that, but I just don't see it happening, and that's my honest opinion. But in terms of Blake's comment, this is one thing I want to bring up, as we have about 500 viewers in the chat right now. Thank you very much. Celtic are doing really well this window. We've started the window very well. We've brought in Bernabei. We're about to bring in Jota. We've brought in Cameron Carter-Vickers. We've brought in Siegrist as well, to, not as much an extent having an impact as the other guys. And technically, we've brought in Dyson Maeda. It's 5 signings already this window. You look at the other side of the city. They're the ones having to play catch-up. And this isn't me taking digs. I don't know if there's any Rangers fans watching right now. This is not me taking digs at Rangers. You look at the other side of the city, they're the one that's got to try and claim back a league title. They've not done anything. Not anything noteworthy. We're running ahead. So yeah, Ewan, what a question, by the way. Do you think Finland joining NATO risks further escalation in northeastern Europe? Ewan, I will be discussing that on my solely political podcast later on. I'm sure to sort of wash your mind with my far left-leaning views. So make sure to tune on to that later on. But genuinely, that is not a dig. I'm not trying to be the stereotypical Derby fan where you're like, fucking you're shite, man. Like, I'm being serious and saying the other side of the city right now, I've not done anything to have me going, I'm not worried. We won the league last season by what? How many points? Was it 6? We won the league. And right now, we're the team that looks better. We are better. And we're only getting better. And I look at the other side of the city and I don't see a genuine attempt to try and catch that at the moment. So I'm very happy with how this transfer window is going. I really am, and hopefully it keeps going that way beyond Jota signing. If Jota does sign tomorrow or today, hopefully Celtic then go out and they now look to make their next couple of signings. I think now there's 3 key areas for Celtic, and this is a completely different route of the podcast I'm going down now. I think there's still 3 players we can sign this window. I think we can sign a centre-half, I think we can sign a central defensive midfielder, and I think we can sign a striker. I still think there's room for 3 big signings this summer. And if we end this transfer window with 8 big signings, I'm not going to come out and say the league's a formality or we've got it done, but we're in a very strong position compared to the side across the city. A very strong. And once again, I'm not saying this to rub anything in, but I'd be worried as a Rangers fan watching Celtic going to make all these signings, because the thing is, we're making smart signings as well just now. We're not wasting money. We're signing players like Cameron Carter-Vickers and Jota, who we know will do the business, who we know are top quality for this division, and then we're building in and around a team that's already good enough to win a league title. We're not going out there and spending silly money. There's my camera away. We're not going out there and spending silly money on players who are coming in and being a vanity project, who are coming in to maybe improve us. We're building on areas. If we bring in a central defensive midfielder, we bring in a striker, and we bring in a centre-half, they don't need to go right into the starting lineup. These aren't vanity projects. This isn't spending money for the sake of it. It's building on an already really impressive side. And if I was a Rangers fan, I'd be really fucking worried about that. But we'll wait and see how the window goes. There's still a lot of time to go in that transfer window, and we'll see what happens. I don't want it to be a repeat of the 2021 season. I'll tell you that for nothing. Absolutely not. Because I'm not going to write... The last thing I'm doing is writing Rangers off. That's not what I'm doing. Rangers have got as much of a chance as winning the league title as Celtic. Because, last season they took it to the end. They're, of course, off the back of a Scottish Cup win as well. I'm not saying Celtic are Rangers are wrote off in this situation. I just feel like if I was a Rangers fan, I would be very, very concerned about how one side of the city is running away making all these signings and my club was stagnant. That's all I'm saying. Not saying it has a direct impact on their league title chances. I just think I'd be worried a little bit. And I'm very pleased as a Celtic fan as to where we're going. Right, okay, I'm going to end my part there. We'll do a Q&A for 5 or 10 minutes. I've actually been talking for a lot longer than I anticipated to be. Nir Bitton, yeah, he has, just to confirm some breaking news, Nir Bitton has been announced as a Maccabi Tel Aviv player. He has joined them. Of course, he left Celtic at the end of the season. So there you go, there's some breaking news for you. So yeah, let's go to a Q&A session. The first one, a $2.50 donation from Gareth. Thank you very much, Gareth. It's much appreciated. Honestly, just very quickly, I cannot express enough how much I appreciate the donations. Now that YouTube is like my full-time thing, every donation goes a long way into, you know, letting me live, to be quite honest, and improving the equipment and what you get here. I'm still waiting on my new camera. I've ordered it. I need to email Jessups, because I ordered it about 2 months ago and it's still not in stock apparently. I'm like, right, well, go and fucking get stock then, please. And then I want to get some stuff to do some outdoor recordings and collaborations and stuff. So every donation goes its way. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. But Gareth with the first question. Thoughts on Larsson? Well, do you know what? As I said in my video the other day, Gareth, I'm very on the fence. I don't mind if it doesn't happen, and I don't mind if it does happen. Either way, I just hope he finds a club, it puts an end to speculation, and he ends up somewhere. But I would love to see him at Celtic. Not going to deny that. Celtic should maybe make contact. They should evaluate the situation. Only though if Ange sees him fit. If Ange thinks he's a player we could use and he fits the system, absolutely. That's basically my thoughts on it. But if he doesn't come to Celtic, I'm not going to be heartbroken, is what I'm saying. But that's obviously one of the big conversations at this moment in time. Fancy a call with a 4 Tims pod? Well, I was on 4 Tims recently. I was on 4 Tims with Tony to discuss one of the awards in their end of season show. And Ryan, you seem like a flat earth kind of guy. What vibes have I given off to become across as a flat earth guy? Do I come across as a flat earth guy? I don't know. Have you ever seen Bendy Water, mate? You ever seen Bendy Water? Would you take Barkas back on loan? Well, he's out on loan, so that'd be pretty difficult. But I'm happy with Joe at the moment. Our backup keeper's better than all 3 of Rangers keepers. Wow, big claim. I'd be inclined to agree. I would be. I generally would be inclined to agree right now at this moment in time. Here we go. What's your future plans in terms of... This isn't really Celtic related, but I'd kind of like updating you guys on what's happening. In terms of moving back at your personal progression as a channel, we've got plans. The podcast is returning tomorrow. We're going to record the podcast tonight, but we've got big plans, the podcast, to try and turn it all into everybody's job. It depends on how a certain thing goes. Stay tuned is all I'm saying, and if I get my finger at my arse, hopefully there'll be an announcement sort of thing soon. But we really want to make talking about Celtic all of our jobs, all of our lives, and we're going to try and shift it in a direction to make that happen. So be patient with us, and hopefully that will, and the podcast will be back. I'm not done a podcast in about a month now. I'm absolutely buzzing to do it again. I miss it. It'll be me, Callum, and Kieran Auld tonight. Ryan McGinley will not be taking part, sadly. Not for tonight's show, but he'll be back very soon. Let's see, what other questions? Who do you fancy for the centre-back signing? That's a really good question. I like the boy from Schalke would be a fucking tremendous signing. But what I will say is I would love a loan deal for that Harwood Bellis. I think he looks brilliant. I would really like us to try and get him if we could. But the thing is, young Englishman, big price tag. Is a loan move to Celtic what's in the plans for Man City? I don't know. But Harwood Bellis, I think, looks great. I think he's got the physicality, the presence of a good centre-half. I think he would fit in really well. Be coming from that City group as well. Obviously, the partnership, I think it'd be great. You think about, and I'm not saying drop Starfelt, that's not what I'm saying, but you think of Joe Hart in goals. You think of Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's an American international, but he's been brought up in England his whole life. You think of that little English trio kind of thing going on there. I think that could work really well. So I would really like us to try and make a move for that Harwood Bellis. I think he could be brilliant. He's came up from a very, very good system. Lennon, when I'll be back this week. It's up next week at some point. Sorry, it's not been back. Obviously, I went on my holidays. I've came back. It's been very busy. It will be back. Don't be worried. Don't worry. Another donation from Blake Owen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. £5 donation. Training to be a sports psychologist and love the channel. So if you want shite banter, get me on. Listen, Blake, I will give you a shit. Next, we get another phone in going to get people on. But sports psychologist, Christ. I don't know if the best thing for me is to talk to a psychologist because I feel like my head will just go... You know, but nah, I'm joking. At one point, hopefully we can have a conversation or such, mate. I need to get more folk on the channel at some point. What's the podcast called? The podcast is called The Celtic The Thunder. It's on this channel, usually every week, but during the summer, of course, we've been taking some time off. It'll be back weekly from probably this week, probably from tonight, tomorrow's episode. It'll be back every week. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on all your other podcast programs. And yeah, you can listen to that if you like. I think we might not sign a defensive midfielder if Ideguchi performs well in pre-season. A very good observation, in fact, from Plaque Ensemble. It's actually a very good thing to kind of point out, because, you know, we've got a centre defensive midfielder there. We've got Ideguchi. He's just not, it feels like he's not been there. You know, he's not been at Celtic because he's not played. I still think that Celtic will want to sign someone, though, someone who's going to come into the first team straight away into the starting 11. I think Celtic want to prioritise getting McGregor back up the park a little bit. I don't know why, but I just have this feeling that's the reason we're getting linked with the likes of Sousa and the other guys as well. I was the boy from Portugal, can't remember, Kamara? No, it wasn't Kamara. The boy from Portugal anyway. You know, we're getting linked with guys like that because I think Celtic want a player to come in and play that role consistently. And is that going to be a Ideguchi right now? I don't know. Pre-season's going to be vital to try and show us that, I think. So we'll wait and see. But, you know, I think that right now a centre-half, a striker and a CDM, as I said, would be 3 good positions to improve on. Thank you very much, Angelo. I appreciate that. Will we get a Tom Rogic replacement and a new centre-half? Beaton and Welsh are not reliable. Well, Beaton's gone anyway. Is there a point in getting in Larson with Giacomakis and Kyogo? A bit of a longer question here. A couple of things to answer. I think that a Rogic replacement could come in, but as I said, I think Celtic want to prioritise moving McGregor back up and then have McGregor O'Reilly, McGregor Hatate as this kind of 2 forward centre mids and then have the 6 behind them, that kind of pivot midfielder. I think that might be the case. I think the replacement is O'Reilly, to be quite honest. I think he's the natural heir to the Rogic throne. But we'll wait and see. And I think that with Larson, I made this point, like, is it going to be hard for Larson to come in and get the football he expects because we already have 2 really good strikers? That might be the case. But I think that there is still a need for a third striker there. So it's just about seeing what suits the parties best. Because if Larson's coming in and he wants to play every week, that might not happen for him at Celtic. But I still feel like we need a third striker. Christ, a lot of phone in, you say. Elliot, we need to get you back on, son. Hellcutter, 179, thank you. Ryan, would you take Porteous? No, absolutely not. No chance. I would not take Porteous. No, straight up no. I think he's a player with a lot of promise. I think he's got quality at times. Don't think he's a Celtic player. I don't think he's got the... He's just too unreliable. If he can't be reliable for Hibs, he's not going to be reliable at Celtic. I wouldn't take Porteous. But thank you for the donation. I very much appreciate that. Other than Jota, who else do we still need? I kind of covered that, haven't I? I still think there's room for 3 more signings at Celtic. Semedo, that was the name, Semedo. I couldn't remember if it was Semedo or Kamara. I don't know why I had Kamara in my head. Let's see. What else is there? There's a lot of good comments. I completely forgot about Turnbull. Thank you, Cole. I completely forgot. I'm sitting here talking away about replacements and centre midfielders, and I'm forgetting Turnbull's here. Another big player for Celtic, and he's got to have a big season. So I don't think we need an attacking midfielder. As I said, CDM. I completely forgot about him. Thank you for pointing that out. But of course, David Turnbull is away to West Ham, so you know we need to wait and see if that deal gets confirmed or not. Christ, that part is actually getting a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are starting to believe that that's the case. Oh, thank you very much, Ronan. I hope you enjoyed meeting McGinley as well. It's quite a traumatic experience, if I say so myself. Who do you think will leave the club? I don't expect too many more departures. I think that most of the departures I expected have happened. And I don't think that there'll be any more really of significant note. We're still waiting to hear what's happening with the likes of Dembele. There's been no official word if he's left. So players like him I'd maybe expect to see go, but players of significance, I don't think that there'll be anybody leaving the club. I think Julian is the last sort of significant player who could leave the club this summer. So I think he might go. Oh, well, of course. Oh, yeah, seeing that. Yeah, of course, I would like to see them probably move on and get some sort of money for them. If possible, that would be handy, but we'll wait and see. About Liam Shaw and Scott Robertson. Scott Robertson's got a year left in his deal. Realistically, I don't think it's going to pan out for him at Celtic. I would need a big announcement of a performance to get in there. I think loan deals are probably going to be the smartest things for both of those guys. But yeah, I think, you know what? I think that'll do us because I've gone for 40 minutes, a lot longer than I expected. Over 500 live viewers. I'm going to end up today's stream there. Hopefully I'll be back with you very soon if anything breaking drops, maybe a Jota announcement or anything like that. But the podcast will be recorded tonight. Keep an eye on the podcast Twitter to get your questions in, to get involved with the show. But for this live stream today, that's going to do it. I've been going for a long time. I'm going to go and try and have a little drink and something to eat. But thank you all for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. I've appreciated the company. We have signed Alexandro Bernabei, ladies and gents. It's a glorious day. Have a good one.